Welcome back to Mark Holubus Vlog, everybody. Thanks for joining in on this, well, kind of cool, windy, and cloudy kind of a day. Today we're going to talk about the Jag, and is it just too loud? I've been told by some people that it's too loud and obnoxious, but for me, as a personal car enthusiast, no doubt about it, this is the way to go. You need exhaust systems. As a matter of fact, take a look. Is there a common theme here? We've got my Lamborghini Gallardo. These are arguably one of the best F1 sounding supercars on the market. Sure, there's faster, there's quicker, there's better, but these cars sound amazing. Not only that, I've got this upgraded with the 2B muffler. So I've got the stock cats, 2B muffler, and it gives the right balance of volume, sound, pitch, but without being super obnoxious for those early morning starts. Then what do we have over here? We have my E60 M5, which has the glorious, again, arguably one of the best sounding exhaust systems, even stock. A little quiet, but best pitched exhaust systems on the planet. Between the F1 sounding noise coming out of the M5 and a slightly different Italian version of F1 sounding noise coming out of the Lamborghini Gallardo, it's pretty obvious I like my cars and my supercars to sound aggressive. That's why I've got the Jag F Type R. It's full of theater. And I've had people say, hey, it's pretty loud, it's pretty loud. Most people say it's awesome, that's the way they should sound. But this is Jaguar's version of a supercar in today's market. And not only that, Jag decided to bring some theater to the equation. Not only are these things fast, I mean 0 to 60, 3.5 seconds, quarter mile, 11.5. They are blisteringly fast, but they got the looks and they've got the sounds, the snap, crackle, pop. So it has some of that muscle car sound to it, kind of that North American muscle car, but it's got some crazy sound effects coming out of it. But before we get to doing the test, because I want to run a decibel test, I've got one of those apps on my phone installed. This isn't the official test. This is me just checking to get a perspective on how loud these cars really are. But I'm going to do a test with it in default mode, and then I'm going to do a test in dynamic mode, and we'll see how much different the sound effects are, and does it exceed what we consider a normal decibel count. So recently I heard about a story in another one of my neighboring cities here in Canada, out in Vancouver. There were some guys that have been recently fined with having exhaust systems too loud on their sports cars. And I know one in particular that they gave an example was a brand new 911 Carrera that this one gentleman was actually pulled over, had the car in sport mode, and sport mode, of course, or the Sport Plus in these 911s sometimes makes the, kind of opens up the exhaust baffles, makes the car quite a bit louder. Now, roadside, the police didn't actually do a test. Apparently they just wrote a ticket. Then, of course, the owner of the car had to head down to the courthouse and challenge that. Otherwise, what ends up happening is the police are enforcing people to revert their cars back to what they consider stock or quieter setups. And the reality is a lot of these new cars now have these loud exhaust systems or the capability of turning these exhaust systems louder or quieter. For example, the Jag is the same way. And so this is something when I'm normally driving around going A to B, I often just leave it in default mode because there's always a risk in somebody, causing a stink or making noise over it. Sort of, pardon the pun, but so the point of it is enjoying the sounds of these cars when it's in due time. And so the thing I want to mention is obviously I love my insanely sounding cars. Obviously all my cars make great noises, but I'm not just about loud exhaust systems, because I think we all know that loud can be very obnoxious and annoying. You see those Honda Civics with those big tin cans hanging down to the ground on the back and they sound like they're farting. It's not a good sound. It's loud, but it's not good. And that's where often a lot of these exhaust systems on the supercars are much, much better. I mean, you look at Lamborghinis and they use those cross pipes to knock out resonance. I mean, a lot of these are tuned systems. They're not just loud systems. They're not just like open pipe to atmosphere. A lot of these exhaust systems are engineered that way. Whether they also use high quality parts like titanium or even, a premium style of stainless steel, a lot of them are engineered or they're designed in such a way to create better sound effects. And of course, increased volume is always part of it. but it's the tone that you're looking for a lot of cases. It's not always just sheer decibels or sound coming out of the exhaust. So I know this has always been an ongoing thing. You get those Harleys that rip it up and they make a lot of noise. Some of them you wonder if they're really loud, or is it just the raspiness of the tone? And again, the same goes with some of these cars. A lot of them sound, the tone might be there, but the actual volume, the decibels may not be there. They may not actually be exceeding the decibel count. So what I want to do is do a little test for you guys of the Jag, and we'll see what it actually spits out. Because I too have been curious. I read somewhere as well that they said, you know, as loud as these cars sound, it was surprising how little of volume that they actually made. It was more of the snap, crackle, pop and some of the effects that they made, and not so much the outright volume. Now there's people that have gone aftermarket exhausts and opened up the exhaust entirely on some of these Jags and made them really, really loud. But I think as stock, they may not be as loud as you think. But let's give this a test run and see what that's all about. So before we actually do the decibels outside the car, let's take a quick look here inside the car. We'll do it both with stock, and then I'll dial it into dynamic mode. Let's go. Okay, that was standard mode. Let's put in dynamic. Let's do one more pass from a standstill. Well, it looks like all we can get is about 95 decibels inside the car, which is pretty loud actually, considering Jag is a luxury car and therefore generally is fairly quiet inside, or it should be. So let's do it at the exhaust tips. So the beauty about the Jag here is not just the volume you get, there's actually a few different modes when you're talking about changing the exhaust tones. Of course, you have the standard mode, which we're typically driving in, and I show you guys that all the time, but there's actually two other modes. There is using this button down here, you can activate, and what that does is it actually opens the exhaust baffles, but it only works at approximately 1500 RPM and higher. So if you're coasting through a sort of slow traffic zone, it still sounds very much stock. It doesn't have that real rumble to it. But if you use this mode and you switch it to dynamic mode, now this mode actually gives you the full beans right from idle. So the best way you can tell is when you're idling at the set of lights or what have you, and you activate dynamic mode, you can all of a sudden hear the rumble, the extra shake and the extra sound that you're getting. There's a tone change, you can hear it, and it's great. So if you want the full beans, you can operate that. Now I've heard there's been problems with the exhaust valves seizing up and whatnot, and some people even say that if you're doing a lot of slow stop and go traffic, you should either leave it full dynamic or just leave it off, because those valves, they switch in and out at 1500 RPM all the time. And that wear and tear really takes a real toll on those valves, and that was one of the maintenance or reliability concerns with these cars. Even though there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of problems with these Jags, these F types, that is one of them, is the exhaust valves, so the changing of the valves. And of course they do wear out, and if they wear out, it's going to cost you a few bucks to fix. But at the end of the day, I guess I would say do what you like. I do love the sound of driving with the dynamic mode on. I feel that just gives you the ultimate in sound, the entire range. It really sounds more honest and true to the driving experience of these Jags. So let's just do one more quick little pull, shall we? That is incredible. I love the sounds of it. Never gets old, guys. If you ever get a chance to experience one of these F types, you really got to give it a go. Truly, that is one of the main reasons I bought this car, is the exhaust sounds through and through. Okay, so here we are. I got the Jag backed into the garage here, mainly because it's been raining, actually a whole lot. I don't really feel like getting the camera too wet today, but hey, what we're gonna do I'm gonna set this up. I'm gonna stage up. I've got my phone and I've got my little stand over there, and what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna start the car up. I'm gonna run it. I'll check the decibel count in stock format, and then I'll switch it to dynamic and I'll give it some revs, and we'll see what the maximum reading that we get for volume or decibels is, and then we'll summarize at the end. Let's go. All right, and there you have it, everybody. It is definitely louder at the tailpipe than it is inside the car. I think we kind of figured that out. But also, we hit 99 decibels at the tailpipe based on that crude measuring device called a cell phone and app. However, we made 99 decibels on a stock exhaust system with dynamic mode on. That screams. That thing is loud. So what do you guys think? Did you learn anything from that as I did? Yes, the cars run loud. I don't normally run it in that mode. I usually run it in stock mode when I'm driving to and from, say, work or general commuting. But I love to fire up that extra mode when I'm on the racetrack, so to speak. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any other comments or suggestions, I'd love to hear it below. And as well, hey, if you're not subscribed to the channel already, be sure you do. Guaranteed you're going to love what you see in the channel coming up in the next few weeks. Hope to see you guys soon. Catch you then. Bye-bye.